Okay, welcome to Foundations Unit 5 Study Guide, Objective 4. Okay, this is the last objective of the study guide, and it's going to be the one that you consider the most difficult just because it's mostly word problems or it's longer type problems. But keep in mind, we're only going to test you on the things that we've learned in our class. Okay, so it's going to involve factoring in some way, shape, or form. So if you look at this, it says the area of a rectangle is this trinomial. Okay? Write a polynomial expression for the length and the width. Well, this is very similar to question number 3 and number 4, where it gives you the area and it wants the length and the width. And remember, area equals length times the width. Okay? So we need to figure out what two things multiply together to get this. That means that we need a factor. So we're going to take this x squared minus 4x minus 12, and we're going to factor it. Okay? First thing we're going to do, GCF. Okay? So if you're trying to take out a GCF, you look for the numbers. Well, this has no number in front, which means there's going to be no GCF in the number column, and then they don't all have the same letter, so you can't take out a letter. Okay? So then you have a trinomial, so you need to try the x. Okay? A times c, so you have 1 times negative 12, which is a negative 12. And then you need the b, which is negative 4. So you got to think, okay, well, what will multiply to give me 12 and subtract to give me a 4, okay, or a negative 4? Since it's subtraction, they have to be different signs. So you have a negative and a positive, okay? Or you can just figure the signs out after you do it. So 12, you have 1 times 12, you have 2 times 6, and you have 3 times 4. Those are the factors. 12 minus 1 is 11, 6 minus 2 equals 4, and 4 minus 3 equals 1. So it's going to be 6, and it's going to be 2. Since it's a negative, down here on the bottom, 6 is the bigger number, it's going to be negative, and that means the 2 is positive, and negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4, negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. Okay? We do not have a number in the front, so we do not have to do the box. Okay? So you bring down the x, we bring down the x, and then you get negative 6 and positive 2. That's the answer. Okay? Or you could say the length equals x minus 6, and the width equals x plus 2. Bam. Or width is negative 6, x minus 6, and the length is x plus 2. Does not matter which one you do. Okay? Okay, question 14 says write a simplified expression for the perimeter of a rectangle with an area of this. So, it's telling us the area is this, and we need to find the perimeter. This takes us back to question number 4 from the first objective. Just now, instead of using a GCF only one, we're doing a trinomial. Okay? Well, to find the perimeter, we need to know the length, and we need to know the width. Okay? So, in order to find the length and the width, we have to understand that the area is the length times the width. Okay? Well, if the area is the length times the width, and we need to know what the length and the width are, we need to figure out what two things multiply to give us this, which means we just need to factor 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. Okay? Well, it's a trinomial. We need to first do the GCF. Okay? Nothing goes into 3, 2, and 5, and they don't all have the same letter, so there is no GCF. So, we need to try to do the x. When you have a trinomial, you try the x. So you do a times c, and b on the bottom. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15, and then b is negative 2. Okay? So, figure out what will multiply to give me negative 15, and subtract to give me a 2. Well, you have 1 times 15, 2 doesn't work, 3 times 5, 4 doesn't work, 5, that's it. So you have 15 minus 1, which is 14, and 5 minus 3, which is 2. So it's got to be 5, and it's got to be 3. Now, since it's a negative, you need a positive and you need a negative, or different sign, subtract. Okay? And the negative tells you that the bigger of these two numbers is going to be negative as well, so that means that the 5 is negative and the 3 is positive, and 3 minus 5 is negative 2, and 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Okay? So now, since we have a number in the front, you can do the box method. Okay? And then you put 3x squared minus, you bring your minus 5 down here to the bottom. You put a 3x here and a negative 5x here. Okay? This and this, or this and this. Okay? Now we're going to take a GCF out to the left. Nothing goes into 3 and 5, so you just bring a 1, and then they do both have an x. Nothing goes into 3 and 5 but 1, so you bring the 1 out. They don't both have an x, so there's no x. And then it's a plus because that's a plus. 3 and 3 have a 3 in common. They do have an x. 5 and 5 have a 5 in common. They don't have an x. And then you take this sign, which is a negative 5. And so your two factors become x plus 1 and 3x minus 5. Okay? If you don't like doing the box method way, here's the other way to do it. You take the front coefficient and attach it to the x, and then you put the 3 next to it from here, and then you take the 3x and you put the 5 next to it. Okay? And then you look for GCF. What goes into 3 and 3? Well, that's a 3. Okay? And so you get x plus 1. And then what goes into 3 and 5? Nothing. So then 3x minus 5 stays the same, and you end up with the same two things. However, that's not what our answer wants. It wants the perimeter which means at all sides. Well, if we're doing a rectangle, that means we have to draw it. So we get a visual. You have a length, you have a width, you have a length, and you have a width. So we need to plug those things in. So I got an x plus 1, an x plus a 1, a 3x minus 5, and a 3x minus 5. We're going to add all that up, so our perimeter is going to equal 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, plus 1 is 8 x's, and then I have negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4, negative 4 minus 5 is negative 9, negative 9 plus 1 is negative 8. Okay? And so that's what our answer equals for the perimeter. Question 15, it's a volume question, and it wants to know the length, the width, and the height. Well, volume is length times width times height. Okay? This is pretty much exactly like the area question, but instead of having two factors, you're going to have three factors. And the only way that we can have three factors the way that we've been teaching it is if you have a GCF. Okay? So when you see volume, you know you're going to have a GCF. It's going to always have a GCF. So make sure you try to take out a GCF first every single time. Okay? So we're going to take this 10x cubed plus 42x squared plus 8x. And we're going to try to take the GCF out. Okay? What goes into 10, 42, and 8? Well, 10 only has 1, 2, 5, and 10. Well, 10 won't go in all those. 5 won't go into those. So it must be 2. Okay? So you pull out a 2. And I'm going to go ahead and label my length, my width, and my height. Okay? Now, it's arbitrary which one you put. I'm going to put the 2 here for the length. And then do they both or all three have a letter? And they do. They all have an X. Okay? And that's the lowest one right there, so I'll put an X here. And that's our GCF. So our GCF was 2X. So I'm going to pull the GCF out. That becomes our length. That's one of our terms. 10 divided by 2 is 5. You have 3 X's over 1X gives you 2 X's. 42 divided by 2 is positive 21. And then you have 2 X's and you took out 1, so you have 1 left. And then 8 divided by 2 is positive 4. 1 and 1. 1 take out 1. You have none left. Okay? So now we need to factor this trinomial into 2 factors so that we have these. Well, it's a trinomial, so you need to try the x. So you have a times c and b down here. 5 times 4 is positive 20. And then you have positive 21. Okay? And then we need to find the numbers that will multiply to 20 and add to 21. Well, you have 1 and 20. You have 2 and 10. 3 doesn't work, and 4 and 5, and then 5 is here, so we're done. So you got to add them. So you got 20 plus 1, which is 21, and that's what we needed, so that's more than likely going to be the answer. 10 plus 2 is 12, and 5 plus 4 is 9, so it has to be 1, and it has to be 20, okay? Since we're adding has the same signs, okay? And it's plus because this is a positive 21, and you have 1 plus 20 equals 21, and 1 times 20 is positive 20. Okay? We do have a number in the front, so you'll have to do the box. Okay? Put the 5x squared here. Put the plus 4 here. Okay? And then I'm going to take my 1 and my 20, and plus 1x, and then I got plus 20x, okay? And I'm going to take out a GCF. So GCF this way. 5 and 20 have a 5 in common. They both have an x, so you pull out an x. 1 and 4 just have 1 in common, and a positive 1 because of that, and they don't both have an x, so I can't take out an x. 1 and 5 just have a 1 in common, but they do both have an x, so I'll pull out an x. And then 20 and 4 have a 4 in common. This one's positive, so that one's positive. They do not both have an x, so you can't take out anymore. So then you get x plus 4 and 5x plus 1. And if you switch these, it's okay. You can have them in any order as long as you have these 3 things as your factors. Okay? And then if you choose not to do the box method, if you like to do it the other way, okay? So you write your 2 parentheses, okay? You put your 5 and your x, and then you put plus 1, and then you put your 5 and your x, and your plus 20, okay? 5 and 1 don't have anything in common, so that becomes the factor, and then 5 and 20 do have a 5 in common, so you'll divide by 5, and 5 divided by 5 is 1x, and then 20 divided by 5 is 4, and so you get x plus 4, which becomes this guy right here, okay? So you can use the box. You can not use the box, but ultimately you'll get the same answer. Okay? That's question 15. Question 16 and the very last question. Okay? So we have a square. This is new. We haven't done a square, so you need to think about the things that we know about squares and in the area. Okay? Well, a square has the same basic formula as a rectangle. You have the length times the width. Okay, but a square is special about that is that the length and the width are the same. So if you figure out one of the sides of the length, then you find all of the sides of the length. Okay? So first thing you want to try to do is factor, because that is how you'd find a length and a width from a polynomial for a square. Okay? Try to take out a GCF first. 4, 12, and 9 don't have anything in common. Okay? So you have to factor it using the x. Okay? So you do a times c, which is 4 times 9, which is 36, and it's positive 36, and then you have a positive 12. Okay? We need the numbers that will multiply to 36 and add to 12. Okay? We have 1 times 36. You have 2 times 18. You have 3 times 12. You have 4 times 9. You have 5 doesn't work. 6 times 6. And then you're back to the things again. And they need to add. So you got 37. You've got 20. You have 15. You have 13. And you have 12. So that's what those are. Okay, so you have 6 and 6. If it's add, they're going to be the same sign. And they have to be positive. So it's positive 6 and positive 6. So you need to do the box method. Okay? And you're going to put the first term and the last term. And then you're going to use the 6's here. So you put plus 6 here and put an X. Plus 6 and put an X. Okay? And now we're going to take GCFs out. 4 and 6 have a 2 in common. They both have an X. 6 and 9 have a 3 in common. This one's positive, so that one's positive. And then they don't both have an X. 4 and 6, we just said, had a 2 and an X in common. And then 6 and 9 have a 3 in common. That one's positive, so that one's positive. And then they don't have an X. And then you'll notice that you get 2X plus 3 and 2X plus 3. And what do you know? They are exactly the same, so it is a square, and then one of those would be a side length. Okay? If you like factoring the opposite way, or the other way without the box, so let's pull it off to the side over here. You take the 4 and the X, and then you take the plus 6, and then you take another 4 and an X, and you put the other plus 6, and then you'd see that 2 goes into both of those, 2 goes into both of those, okay? And so you get 2x plus 3 and 2x plus 3, and that becomes your factors, okay? So that's pretty much the polynomials test. If you have any questions about anything else, please ask Monday in class, or come see me before school on Tuesday before you take your test. Thank you for watching the videos, and good luck on the test.